Jr., Ralph Klein has been diagnosed with a rare psychological condition. It's called sweet brain, and it's apparently triggered by eating too many bubblegum and banana liqueur parfaits.
Indeed, the cure has...
When suffering sweet brain attacks, victims undergo uncharacteristic moments of clarity and truthfulness.
I've been dishonest with you. I've broke my political promise. But moreover, I've broken the law, and I should be fired.
Klein has now formed a support group for politicians who accidentally tell the truth. So far, he's the only member.
Commander-in-Chief of the Haitian military, Lieutenant General Raoul Cedras, resigned last week.
In a moving resignation speech, he appealed to the crowd to forgive the mayhem that marked his years as leader.
I'm sorry. I was suffering from really angry dictator syndrome.
After the resignation speech, he was granted his last request as a leader, to be driven away in the same vehicle as O.J. Simpson used, a white Bronco.
Oh yeah, angry dictator syndrome. I've had angry anchor syndrome, but have I taken that little doll of Molly and stuck pins in it again and again and again? No.
Two American scientists, Doctors Rod Bell and Gilman, have won a Nobel Prize in Science by showing how cells communicate with each other. Not to be outdone, Canadian scientists at McMaster University have gone one step further and found out what it is those cells are actually saying.
I'm sick to death of hearing you talk about it, eh? Look it, if you want to separate, go ahead and separate. Okay, just watch me, English.
Apparently, those cells were affected by the most recent strain of the virus.
Boris Yeltsin held a press conference in Moscow to reassure the Russian people that he did not, in fact, have a drinking problem.
So what if he didn't even make it off the plane for the state visit to Ireland? Big deal. He pulled a few goony faces when he was trying to convince everyone that he was a stand-up geopolitical world leader type of serious kind of guy. And yeah, he likes to wield a baton. So what world-class statesman doesn't?
Gee, can we see that last little bit again, Hank? Gosh, President Yeltsin looks just like Dad there. Just before Dad had pull out his pants pocket and play the elephant. Of course, Dad didn't really have what you'd call a drinking problem. You know, he might have a few drinks every now and again, you know, but... And he might have to put a 40-ouncer on his head of a morning to give himself a bit of ambition, you know, but... He didn't really drink, you know, not like that.
In lieu of the jobs promised during the last election campaign, the Liberal government is forcing many of Canada's over 1.4 million unemployed to retrain. We now welcome Mr. and Mrs. Gordon and Lol Pico-Purcell. Mr. and Mrs. Pico-Purcell, what's your current occupation?
We're retraining.
Or what are you being retrained to do?
Well, Sydney, we're not really being retrained to do anything Pacific. He used to be top gutter, and they had him down to the schoolhouse shirt, down on the floor, flapping around, pretending he was a codfish in his dick throws. Go on, tell her.
They were trying to retrain me, trying to help me get in touch with my feelings.
Yeah.
Trying to get me to access my sense of loss to the feeling of the codfish in his final flapping.
Sir, poor old Oxy Evans next door, he have been through so many retraining programs, Sydney. He is retrained to within an inch of his life. Oh, he don't wet in the house no more, Greg. But you tell me now, Sydney, where bouncing a great big ball on the end of your nose is going to get you in the emerging global marketplace. I don't care how docile and obedient they got him made.
Well, what is your reaction to Lloyd Axworthy's new social policy paper?
That tall boy Axworthy, he's headed for the nut college. And sure, that's as plain as a big wet nose on Oxy Evans's face.
Yeah, and then that coming down here and threatening us if the government don't make the cuts, the German and the Japanese bondholders will. Well, sir, what worse can the Germans and the Japanese do? Come in and build an altar of skulls out on the point?
Well, it's not going to be pretty, but it might create the odd job.
Oh, what the government is not looking at, Sydney, is the major disincentive to getting off unemployment is the total lack of jobs.
It's a good thing that Canada's making a shift towards the cashless society because we've been ready down here for years.
Thank you both.
You know, Sydney, there is another option for us, relocation. So we're thinking of moving up next door to you.
Yes, thank you. Good night.
Yeah, we're gonna need a 3-bedroom because there's 51 of us.
But ye seem to be doing pretty
That's
good
Mr.
up
and
here.
Mrs. Pickle Purcell coming to a neighborhood near you.
Mobile telephone companies in Canada have launched a sales pitch aimed at getting more of us to go cellular.
The multi-million-dollar campaign was launched this week. Some companies that offer old-fashioned telephone services are fighting back.
Oh, yeah.
Here he is, Mr. Cellular phone, Mr. Can't dial the number, gotta push the number, Mr. Mr. Push 6 for information, Mr. Gotta be driving down the road on my cellular
Well, she's back, and something tells me she's not goofing around this time. Here's this hour's very own Babe Bennett.
Well, move over, Georgie Jessel. The Supreme Court of Canada is getting into the comedy business. That's right. Now those zany cut-ups have ruled that drunkenness is an acceptable offense for a guy in his 70s who raped a gal. Well, let's do the math, shall we? 72-year-old guy, 35 ounces of brandy, 8 beers. Well, I think after this guy does some long, hard time, he ought to think about joining the circus. Why, I've dated guys in their 70s who couldn't get their collars up without a couple of RNs and a backhoe. And this guy, with a blood alcohol level of 1,000,000.00, whips aside the colostomy bag and goes all berserk. Well, what a man. What strength. What prowess to be able to hold his liquor like that and get enough of a woody to humiliate and defeat a wheelchair-bound senior citizen. Oh, Your Honor, go easy on the poor goopus. Why, he didn't mean nothing by it. He was just having a quick one, that's all. Couple of cold ones, hair of the dog, one for the road, couple of stiff ones. He didn't mean to turn into a violent rapist. Why, in fact, he can't remember. He forgets. Why, I think he was just goofing around. Well, listen now. If this guy walks after whipping a gal out of a wheelchair and wrecking her life just because he was hammered, well, then I won't be responsible for figuring out what happens next. And I'm not kidding. I'm not fooling. I'm not goofing around. Deborah, get me those law books, would you?
The government of Canada has refused to okay a 2-cent increase in postage costs. This decision comes despite the fact that the post office has already gone ahead and printed millions of new 45-cent stamps. Rather than being stuck with the useless stamps, Canada Post has come up with a new plan and unveiled yet another stamp, the negative 2-cent stamp. Although it costs 2 cents and must accompany the new 45-cent stamp, officials point out that once a negative is added to a positive, the lesser number is always deducted from the greater, meaning that although you've now spent 47 cents, you're actually mailing a standard 43-cent letter.
President Jean-Bertrand Aristide made a triumphant return to Haiti last weekend after 3 years in exile. Our foreign affairs correspondent, Tim McMillan, is in Port-au-Prince. We speak with him now. Hello, Tim.
Hello!
Can you tell us what the mood is like on the streets of Haiti tonight? Can you tell us how the Haitian public is reacting to the return of President Aristide?
No!
And why is that, Tim?
Well, I'm not exactly in Haiti.
Well, where exactly are you, Tim?
Well, you never guess where I'm calling from. I'm calling from an airplane. Yeah, excuse me, could I get some more nuts over here, please?
When are you arriving in Haiti, Tim?
Well, that's the thing, Frank. I think they must have gave me the wrong ticket. So now I'm heading to Toronto. But you'll never guess who I'm sitting next to. Pamela Wallin. You know, primetime news Pamela Wallin. Is she ever pretty? Her complexion is flawless. It's like milk. You gotta say hello to her. It's my brother. You gotta say hello.
Hi, Frank.
Hi.
Your brother Tim is such a sweetheart. He got us bumped up to first class. I couldn't. You know, it's really nice to talk with you. I saw your piece on crossing guards, Frank. I think we're talking Gemini here. You know, I really wish you'd reconsider and come on over and work here at Primetime News.
It's funny that you mentioned that because I was just talking...
Gotta go, Frank. Movie started. They're playing The Nutty Professor. Bye-bye, Frank.
Bye-bye.
Isn't she great? It's like she's made of porcelain or something. Frank, I'll call you later. I'm going to give Pam a drive into Toronto to do the news at 10.
Yeah, could I get some sparkling wine here, please? Sparkling wine. Yeah, I was bumped up. No, let go, no. Let go. I'm not going back to economy. No, I'm never going back to economy.
That report was from Tim McMillan. We welcome Tim's reports whenever they arrive.
She's bright, she's bold, and she's hard to hold. Here's this hour's very own Marg Delahunty.
Hi, I'm Marg Delahunty. Up to my wazoo and way further in stinky old seaweed. Ooh, the pond coming off that. It's like low tide in the Bay of Fundy in here. In another desperate attempt to young myself up. Look, us aging dollies better get real. Old dames just don't make it. Look at poor old Sally Field, for God's sake. She played Tom Hanks's girlfriend in 1988 in that infinitely forgettable movie Punchlines. And now, this year, she's playing that same little frigger's mother in Forrest Gump. Oh, give me a GD pink nails break. Is that right? Is that fair? I suppose he can go on playing the love interest until he's 220. And don't go telling me it's because men look so good as they age, because I'm still not over seeing Michael Douglas's big old lumpy arse in that movie that time. Did you see that? The world is run by a bunch of genitally challenged himbos. And I suppose the sight of the terminally youthful Tom Hanks or the chronologically gifted Jack Nicholson or one of the other divinities of the paleo macho movie age nuzzling a nipple that was older than the centigrade room temperature, well, I mean, it could give acquired uncontrollable limpness syndrome to the entire male population. Oh, what odds. Why buck the system? Personally, I'm going for that eternal elf waif look thing. Because, after all, what's a brassy piece of aging crumpet like myself who still finds the whole death idea thing to be in questionable taste at best, even though 10 out of 10 of us are still at it, to do?
Roseanne Skoke, Liberal MP for Central Nova, she hates homosexuals. Hates them. She says she's normal where they're abnormal. They're statistically abnormal. I guess it depends on how you look at these things, really. For example, how many homosexuals are there in Canada anyway? Somewhere around a couple of million? And how many little tiny 4'5" female MPs are there running around these days? Not many. I'd say somewhere around the area of maybe, one? Oh, gee, I hope all the tall people don't get together and start having a vote about short people in Parliament or short people in general. Now, don't get me wrong here. It's not like I personally have anything against short people. It's just that you give these people an inch, boom, they're going to take a mile. Next thing you know, they're going to be saying that they can't be fired for being short, or they're going to want to go out and get married to other short people. And then what happens if the children turn out to be short? It's not fair to the tall people. And I know what I'm talking about here. I never told anyone this before exactly, but a number of years ago, I, experimented, with being short. And I realized that as an adult short person, that would make me unnatural. That would make me immoral. It would make me a threat to Canadian families all across this country. So, Roseanne, you should do what I did. You should do what Sven Robinson did, for God's sakes. When we were 4 feet tall, we just made a conscious lifestyle decision to keep growing. And, if you're not up to the challenge physically, you should really consider it mentally.
Here she is, that award-winning weather girl, and now this hour's senior correspondent. Her hip is better, and she's back, the lovely Mrs. Enid.
I don't like much music, I only like a little bit. But oh my, the young people love it. And now they're getting rid of Ziggy and Eric AM off of much music because they're getting a bit long in the tooth. Oh my, if that crowd is long in the tooth, well, I guess I am the walrus, cuckoo-ca-choo. Oh, holy heart of Mary. Just when a VJ gets enough savvy to remember their own name without pausing and not be distracted by every burger that goes to the studio. Oh my, what's that? A burger. Oh my, is there pickles onto it? Oh my, and the next song is, I'd love to have a burger. That's not television. I guess you see, the feeling is, the young people would rather buy an album from a band called Hole from someone whose head is obviously full of them. Now, don't get me wrong. I got nothing against the young crowd. God knows they have their charm, and everything is a big surprise to them. Whoa! But what the young people need is a lifeline to reality. Yes, my dear, as sure as there's shit in a cat, the youth cop comes for us all. And ba-boom, you're hauled off for a saggy butt and too much common sense. Oh, I know you're only as old as you feel, but when no one wants to feel you, you're off the bus. Oh, holy heart of Mary, God bless us and save us. I hope they don't come for the weather girls next.
This hour has 22 minutes is proud to present media pundits Stuart Steed and Steve Steele with The Right Answer. Men, we salute you.
Welcome back, Stuart.
Welcome back, Steve.
Okay, let's start it all off with the federal government says it now costs $50,000 a year to keep a prisoner in jail.
50 grand to keep a man in a cage? Holy doodle! How much does your average garbage scow cost?
$1,200 tops.
I say, bon voyage, jailbird. Reform Party convention, boom or bust.
Bust. They finally had a chance to scuttle the Charter of Rights, and they balked. Pinkos, O.J. Simpson, will he walk?
Irrelevant, Your Honor. But what I wouldn't give for a piece of that merchandising. President Jimmy Carter stops the war on Haiti.
Yeah, he would.
He finally had a chance to clear his name. Hey, Jimbo, we're trying to get the economy going here. The U.S. insists that Canadians stop investing in Cuba.
Oh, yeah.
Sure we will.
There haven't been opportunities like that since the great buffalo hunt.
Supreme Court upholds the I was drunk defense in court.
Good. I've had to use it myself. Honey, I was lonely. I was drunk. The hooker was a gift. Thank you, Stu.
You're welcome, Steve. And last but not least, the best Crowd Control of the Week award goes to
the London Police.
Look at that balance.
Look at those flames.
You gotta hand it to those London bobbies.
Who needs a gun when you got a 900-pound horse?
I like it.
You gotta.
And that's the right answer.
I want.
And tonight we welcome this hour's newest correspondent from downtown Vancouver. Here's Cypress Twig.
Hi, okay. I'm Cypress Twig here in Vancouver, in one of Vancouver's over 2,967,224 cappuccino bars. You know, I was just wandering down Robson near Thurlow, surrounded by highly caffeinated people of indeterminate gender, all clutching biodegradable coffee-containing vessels, when my mind just magically magnetized me here to the Xanadu of cappuccino. Say, do you think that's what happened to that 1.9 million salmon that disappeared from the river out here? Do you think that their minds just magically magnetized them somewhere else? Wow. So, I am cypress twig. So, watch for me on that palace of varieties that squats in the corner of your living room, your television. Excuse me, I just have to blow my nose. Oh, I better take my nose rings out first. Oh, ow. I think I have an infection. Does this mean I'm never going to be able to blow my nose again? Wow.
This just in, the most popular phrase in India last week, "You dirty rat, you killed my brother."
And now here are the hockey scores from the NHL. 0.
Well, that's the way we saw the world this week. I'm JB Dixon, and for all of us here, stay tuned to Hour 2 of This Hour Has 22 Minutes as Peter Mansbridge and Pamela Wallen give you their version of today's news. Good night. Good night.